We'd been in the new neighborhood just a few weeks, a quiet cul-de-sac painted as the perfect family haven, with neat lawns and shiny playgrounds. But something felt wrong, like a shadow lurking under the surface. I can still see the day we unpacked, my daughter Sophie clapping her hands from her wheelchair, her eyes sparkling with hope for a new beginning. At 6, Sophie was my everything. Born with cerebral palsy, she struggled with muscle control, especially on her right side, but her spirit was a wildfire, fierce, bright, unstoppable. She loved music, butterflies, and questions that pierced your heart. After a cruel ordeal at her old school, we moved here for a fresh start, a place where she'd be safe, included. My wife died of cancer 2 years ago, leaving just Sophie and me, battling life's storms side by side. I pinned my hopes on Maple Grove Elementary. The principal's grin was too wide, the secretary's sweetness cloying, and the walls screamed inclusion with diversity posters and zero-tolerance signs. But my gut twisted the moment I met her Eleanor Vance, the intervention specialist. Her eyes were cold, sharp, like a blade hidden in silk. Her voice didn't comfort, it commanded. I told myself I was overthinking it, but Sophie's first week proved me wrong. It started small, snide remarks that Sophie was slow, suggestions she skip assemblies, or sit out art because she made messes. Sophie didn't catch the cruelty. She'd just say, "Miss Eleanor told me to stay in the corner for quiet time," or "She said I was being dramatic when I cried." I bit my tongue, trying to keep the peace, not wanting to rock the boat. Then I saw faint bruises on Sophie's arms. She mumbled, "I fell," but her eyes flickered with fear. Her communication tablet, her voice to the world, vanished one day, then reappeared cracked, blamed on her backpack. Sophie whispered Eleanor took it. I demanded answers, but the school dismissed me, saying Sophie exaggerated, that there was no evidence. I wanted to believe no adult would target my child. I was naive. That Tuesday morning shattered everything. I dropped Sophie off, her Blue Star backpack on her wheelchair, her hair in pigtails, humming a song about the sky. "I love you," I said. "Love you too, Daddy," she answered, her smile radiant. It was the last time I'd see it for weeks. At 11:23 a.m., mid-work meeting, my phone buzzed. "There's been an incident," the school nurse said. "Come immediately." My heart plummeted. I raced to Maple Grove, my mind a storm. Was it a seizure? A fall? They led me to a small office, avoiding my gaze. The principal shifted uncomfortably. Eleanor was absent. They claimed Sophie fell in class, a misunderstanding with staff, and was at the hospital as a precaution. No details. I sped to the hospital, and what I saw gutted me. Sophie lay in a sterile bed, neck brace on, a deep bruise snaking down her side, a gash above her brow. Her arm was casted, her leg padded. She was barely conscious, fading in and out. The doctor said the force that hurled her across the room could have broken her spine. Hurled, not fallen. This was no accident, it was an assault. But no one would talk. The teacher, aides, school all silent. That night, by Sophie's bedside, rage burned through my tears. I scoured online forums, finding old posts about an Eleanor at another school, accused of tormenting disabled kids, complaints buried. My blood froze. She had a history. The next day, I stormed Maple Grove, demanding footage, reports, anything. They claimed the classroom cameras were down for maintenance. Predictable. They blocked me from talking to students, citing an internal review. I knew they were shielding her. I reached out to other parents. Most stayed quiet, but one, Lisa, messaged me. Her son, Noah, was in Sophie's class. He came home crying, saying Eleanor kicked Sophie's wheelchair, yelling, "Don't talk back," before it crashed into a wall. Lisa tried reporting it, but the school warned her against spreading lies. This wasn't just about Sophie, it was a pattern, a woman protected by silence, preying on the defenseless. I whispered to Sophie, "I'll make sure the world knows what she did." But Eleanor was already spinning her tale. Sophie was aggressive, needed restraining, was unstable. Some bought it. I wouldn't let her win. Monday, I returned to Maple Grove, no longer the trusting father who believed in systems. That man was dead, replaced by one fueled by fury and cunning. Sophie was still hospitalized, her leg fractured, wrist sprained, her once vivid eyes now hollow, flinching at every sound. She'd stopped singing. I demanded a board meeting. In a drab room, the principal claimed Sophie was disruptive, threw a coloring book, and tripped. I snapped. Her spine has bruises from being thrown. No child trips like that. They offered a hollow apology, said Eleanor was on leave, not fired, not arrested, just hidden. I recorded every word. That night, I asked Sophie what happened. Her voice shook. She dropped a crayon, asked for help. Eleanor ignored her, then snapped when Sophie asked again. When Sophie said she wasn't kind, Eleanor kicked her wheelchair, sending it spinning, then shoved it harder. Sophie flew out, hit the floor, and blacked out, thinking she was dying. I held her as she cried, my fists clenched until they bled. This was assault. I contacted Lisa again. Noah was traumatized, wetting the bed, terrified of teachers. He'd heard Eleanor sneer. You think you're special because you're broken? Lisa feared retaliation. The school had threatened her with policy violations. I dug deeper, scouring parent groups, uncovering Eleanor's abuse across 3 districts. Bruises, shaming, always targeting disabled kids, always swept under the rug. My lawyer friend, Claire, reviewed Sophie's medical records, my recording, Noah's account. Go public, she said. They'll fight dirty. I filed a police report, leaked Sophie's story to news stations, and posted anonymously online. A news segment aired, disabled child injured in classroom. Parents demand answers. Eleanor's name was exposed. The school issued a vague denial, but the fire was lit. 3 more parents shared similar stories. Then the backlash hit. A black SUV lingered outside my house. My tires were slashed, and an anonymous CPS report claimed I was abusive. But then, an envelope slid under my door, grainy photos of a tipped wheelchair, Eleanor's leg raised toward it, and a note. Camera not under maintenance. Use wisely. Someone inside was done covering up. The photos went to Claire. The school called them doctored, but timestamps matched Sophie's injuries. Protesters swarmed Maple Grove. A janitor revealed Eleanor bragged about breaking kids like Sophie. Another teacher, Ellen, shared complaints from a prior school where Eleanor pushed a nonverbal boy downstairs. No charges, just a quiet exit. The district offered $75,000 to drop the case. I burned the check. Sophie's pain wasn't for sale. I tracked Eleanor to a cabin 2 towns over. I didn't confront her, just watched, wanting her to feel cornered. She hid like a rat. I vowed to expose her entire history, every victim, every buried file. I worked like a man possessed, filing FOIA requests, building a victim database. Parents joined me, forming a coalition. Claire filed a class action lawsuit against Eleanor, the district, and complicit officials. We launched a website, justiceforkids.org, with 87 victim stories in 3 days. My employer suspended me without pay. My bank account showed suspicious charges. Claire's office was burgled, Sophie's file stolen. But we pushed on. A former colleague of Eleanor's, Mark, gave me a hard drive with footage of her yanking kids, slamming desks, intimidating them. I sent it to the feds and a news outlet. The story exploded. Whistleblower exposes teacher's abuse. 3 school officials resigned. The Department of Education launched an investigation. Eleanor was arrested in Montana, screaming she was the victim. I felt no joy, only relief. The trial was a circus. Eleanor, in a prim suit, sat stone-faced as victims testified. Medical experts confirmed Sophie's injuries weren't from a fall. Claire presented Eleanor's email calling special needs kids ruins who needed cages. Eleanor snapped on the stand, screaming they were monsters. The jury took 3 hours, guilty on all counts: child endangerment, assault, obstruction. 30 years, no parole. The courtroom erupted. Justice landed, but Sophie's healing was just starting. A federal task force on educational abuse formed. Governors pushed reforms. Sophie started a new school, painting stars with a friend, her smile returning. I co-founded a nonprofit for disabled kids' rights, speaking nationally. A girl named Lily sent Sophie a butterfly drawing, thanking her for being brave. Sophie taped it by her window, where sunlight hit it daily. Eleanor rots in prison, but the system that enabled her still limps. I keep fighting, because if I stop, another Sophie might not survive. They thought they could silence us. They were wrong.